Hello and welcome back to another Weather video. Today we are going to be continuing our coverage of these next two potential storm systems, one of which will most likely be named Winter Storm Nancy, which is our next winter storm name. So we're going to be taking you through the NAM as well as our big three models, the European, GFS, and Canadian models. So, starting off with the NAM 12-kilometer model, we have a Clipper system moving through the northeast today, potentially bringing in some light snow in some spots, including southern New England and New York, with a potential for some snow squalls as well. Now, after that, we have this low pressure here in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, and this starts to move down into the U.S. with that cold air already in place, but it will also start to bring in some of that Gulf moisture. But then we see this other low pressure here start to take in that Gulf moisture as well, and we start to see a more strengthening system, a stronger system, start to filter into the Midwestern U.S. Now, this will include the Twin Cities, and that is why I do think that this storm could get named, because we have seen storms that move over the Twin Cities get named before, just because the Twin Cities does have more than 2 million people. We saw that 2 or 3 times last year. We haven't seen it much yet this year, maybe one time with Atticus, but now we could see it again. Now, mostly this storm will be encompassing areas of the Dakotas, Minnesota, as well as parts of Wisconsin and northern Michigan, but we also start to see some moisture start to pop up down here in the south, with the potential for maybe some severe weather as well on that back end, which is where we move to the European model, which has basically the same setup here, that low pressure that starts to drive into the northern U.S. We start to see that energy start to move into the Twin Cities, and we start to see some moisture getting pulled up. Now, we could see that severe threat pop up now a little bit further west, such as central Texas, and then eventually into our typical areas for severe weather: Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, as this system moves through. Now, in terms of the major cities that just got snowfall with Winter Storm Miles, Kansas City is going to be primarily out of this storm, not really on the wintry side or the wet side, just basically getting nothing. St. Louis, all rain. Chicago, maybe a shift from freezing rain, but still mostly rain. Detroit could see a little bit of mixed precipitation, but mostly rain as well. And of course, the entire Northeast also in rain. But after that, now we have all this cold air in place, 1,048 millibar high pressure, and we start to see our next system take shape with some freezing rain and sleet in parts of Texas and Oklahoma. We start to see that snow start to pop up through Kansas and Missouri, and we start to see a new low pressure here strengthening through the southern plains, bringing in more freezing rain, snow, and sleet into those areas, and eventually moving into the northeast, where we could see areas such as New York and Boston start off as snowfall and potentially heavy snowfall, and eventually switch over to either freezing rain or rain before the system moves out. Now, that is the European model's perspective on these potential systems. The GFS does have basically the same ideas, but has it in a different way. We have that first system, which will be impacting the Twin Cities. Now, the GFS has this storm system much stronger and much more impactful, and potentially a little bit further to the south, allowing areas like Chicago and Detroit to stay in wintry precipitation most of the time, mostly in the form of sleet and freezing rain, whereas northern parts of New England could see some winter precipitation as well. Then we move into our second big system, which is a little bit further to the south and east, which allows areas such as New York and Boston to get more snowfall before that they eventually switch over to freezing precipitation, not really rain. So right now, the snowfall amounts for these storms are pretty different, but we do have the overall concepts pretty much down at this point, that we will be seeing a potential significant storm in the Twin Cities, and then maybe another one in the Northeast later next week. The Canadian model is usually in between, and that is completely the case here. Kind of has that stronger system like the GFS has for the first system, but a little bit further north so that Detroit and Chicago stay as rain for the most of the duration of the storm, and parts of northern New England and the Northeast are mostly rain as well. Then that second system, we have more of that GFS type of switchover, but the strength of the European model, where we don't see it very strong, but we do see that areas such as New York and Boston stay as winter precipitation for most of the time. So that is all the current information that we have for these next two storms. Now, that first system, I will be posting more in-depth analysis starting tomorrow, and as we see this storm start to develop, Monday, Tuesday, even into Wednesday, we will either get this storm named or not. We will see, but either way, an in-depth video will be coming up on that storm system, whether it's just my own personal in-depth coverage or winter storm coverage. For the second system, we still have a lot to figure out, and we could see it die off or get stronger or move. We're so far out at this point that we really just have to look at concepts for that instead of actual track. But that is all the information that I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell. But that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.